right, what is up, Utah fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest, and we are going to be talking about yesterday's game, Utah versus TCU. Obviously, quite a heartbreaker. There's not a ton of positive to pull from that game, but we'll talk about it. We'll analyze it today, and we'll go over it here. There's there's some silver lining, but one thing I want to do this morning, I'm just updating as we get more people in here. I'm just updating some of the information. Utes, and what's the other one? All right, whatever. All right, that should be good for now. Okay, so rough game yesterday. Utah loses 13-7 against a TCU team. Tough go. DJ and Tay says waking up to the coaching staff still fully in place is disappointing. I don't know if I'm quite there, if I'm quite as deep as you are in wanting to get rid of everyone, burn the boats. I don't think I'm there yet, DJ and Tay. And you know how this stuff goes. I feel like definitely, though, just watching other YouTube channels, watching other people talk about this, it is definitely a moment where you can tell the whole fan base is not just frustrated, but on, in panic mode. I'd say it does feel that way, right? Where we've definitely had times where a lot of us have been frustrated, but the amount of people, as a guy that's called out Andy Ludwig a lot over the past couple of years, the amount of people, especially last year, I called out Andy Ludwig a lot, but the amount of people that are going at Andy Ludwig right now is shockingly large. It really is. It's shocking to me considering in the past when I've called out Andy Ludwig, it feels like I usually get a lot of pushback, right? Where people are saying like, "Oh no, it's not Ludwig, it's this or that," and it's kind of a double-edged sword where I'm kind of glad other people are calling out Ludwig, but at the same time, it is. I wish it was under different circumstances. So, kind of a weird spot to be in. I am disappointed in last night's game. There's a lot we could have done better. As we get going here, guys, if anyone does want to join the video chat, just kind of hop on, give their thoughts. I'm going to put the link in the chat so you guys can hop on, give your takes. I want to hear them. Larry, I always appreciate you. I'm going to read your comment in a second, but if you have a minute, I would love to have you on, man. I'd love to talk a little bit. I know you were in some spaces last night I was listening to, you and Brian. Heward and Rose are further ahead. I can't be convinced otherwise. Her guys were open. Wilson can't see it yet. I was watching from home. You guys know how it goes from home. It's hard to see how much is the quarterback not seeing people and how many people are actually open. Just giving my honest take about what I saw on TV. I saw plays where dump offs and outlets and short routes were open and Isaac didn't hit them. I also saw plays where they were manned up on all our guys and none of our receivers were getting open. So, I feel like we are going to get a lot of people going after Isaac, some of it justifiably so, right? But I just from first glance last night, I saw a lot of both, right? It wasn't like it was clearly Isaac just missing everyone all night, and it wasn't like there were tons of guys open. There were amazing plays. What was I saying? So it wasn't like Isaac was missing everyone all night that was wide open, and it also wasn't like everyone was just covered all night and he just couldn't get it done, right? So that's kind of where my mind is. One thing I want to point out, guys, I posted about it on Twitter. I'm going to pull that tweet up on the screen here, and I'm going to talk about some other stuff as well. But this tweet, I'd say, is a big one for me. Let's go ahead. I'm going to save this and put it on the screen. Okay. All right. Boom. All right. Rushing. Yes. Let's throw this up on the screen here. Boom. Brand. Can I just load a picture? Why would I do that? I'll just put it. Nah, I can't really do anything except a background. Maybe I could do it here. Okay, well, I guess I'll just share this on the screen. I'll just zoom in. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. All right, I'm just going to share this on the screen. I'll zoom in. Okay, and this is for me a damning part of the video. Larry, I see in the background. I'm just going to touch on this before I bring you on. Thanks for hopping on, brother. All right, so check this out, guys. For me, this was a big one. And if you guys watched our, pregame breakdown heading into this game, you guys would be aware that we should have been able to run all over this team. They were allowing 200 yards per game, and we only rushed for 68 yards at 2.7 yards a carry. And they actually, I've got the numbers here. I'll put these numbers up on the screen as well, just so you guys can see them. But Utah actually, they were allowing 204 yards per game, and we only got 68 rushing yards for 2.7 yards per carry. That is just a bewildering stat that I never would have imagined. Larry? Larry, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You there?
Good, man. Yeah, I'm here. Are you coming on video or just audio today?
What's that? I can hear you. Yeah, I just turned my camera off. I got out of bed.
No, all good. I appreciate you hopping on, man. How's the morning treating you?
Oh, just I'm really glad I lowered my expectations yesterday before the game, so it made things a lot easier. So yeah, I think that was a combination, man, of all of the above. I think our line, the play calling, Wilson, all of it. I think it was all around just ugly. And so I think there's a lot of blame to go around everywhere, except the defense, man.
Yeah. I think both are true, right? I also think our offense didn't put their offense in a place where they felt like they had to light up the scoreboard, right? Like as much as our defense did a good job, it's not like we really held them to 13 points. Does that make sense, Larry? Like they were never in a spot where it was like, hey, you guys have to go make a play to win this game. Most of the game, it was like, hey, obviously their offense can't do anything. Don't screw this up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think they did play that. I think we got some opportunities that we normally wouldn't have, like the midfield 4th and 2, 4th and 4s.
Yeah.
Where they just punted and I feel like Scally made some pretty good adjustments because they were trying to push the ball there in the second half a little bit, and they weren't trying to run. They were actually really going after our DBs. And I mean, I think there were two 3 and outs where they didn't run once. And then they went back to running. Yeah.
Well, and I guess I can be a little tough on Utah sometimes. I feel like I'm either too easy or too tough, but I feel like with the defense, it was a great game for them overall. But the consistent from the season is that our defense can get run on and get run on bad. I mean, you and I haven't talked that much this year, Larry, but I don't know if you've noticed that. It has felt like every team can run on us at will, and that was only proof even more with a team that, if you look at their average rushing yards per game heading into this game, it was 88.8. They didn't get crazy above that average. It was only 132 yards rushing for TCU. But this is a team that just throws the ball and really couldn't run the ball. And at the end of the game, we have a chance to stop them. And I didn't like that comment by Keanu Tanuvasa at the end of the game. He's like, yeah, we only let up 13 points. We had a great game. And it's like, okay, yeah, but what about you guys not making that final stop? Not that you had to. Like, the offense lost us this game for sure, but what kind of attitude is that? Like, you guys had a chance to get us back in this game at the end, and you didn't make the stop. At least own that. Don't act like, hey, we did our job. Do you kind of get where I'm coming from there, Larry?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree. I agree with that. I mean, to me, that's what's more concerning for me is literally now you've got the offense and the defense sitting on two different benches in the locker room. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
can't be good for team chemistry because it's like, you're throwing your team under the bus. There's some truth to that, but damn, you just threw your offense under the bus.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean,
Did you feel that when you were watching that press conference? They just looked annoyed and pissed off about the
I
offense.
didn't watch it because I almost like that. I kind of try to watch after because I think it's almost one of those I need to breathe moments. But you know what gets me? You know what gets me is okay, that guy that their receiver, the big 6'3", the guy that kept running the
That guy was
Wildcat.
a freaking beast.
Okay,
Savion Williams.
yeah,
Damn.
what was his only run? He ran to the strong side every time, right? Like he didn't even try to go up every time it was wide side. You know why?
He was like outside zone every time because he would just
Yeah,
cut
and,
back
and
and gash us.
did you see who the hell we were trying to have tackle that guy? We
Zamar
had
Bun.
Scooby Davis and Miles Day and Scooby and Zamaya Vaughn.
Yep, the
And
outside corners.
he had pulling guards. Why in the hell I watched that last 4th and 2? You had Fano and 98 Vamahi were pulling left, and that dude has been running right the whole time. Why are you
Really.
not? It
I
was
mean, I
horrible,
think we all knew who was getting the ball on 4th and 1. I don't
and
know
where
if
it
you
was
had.
going.
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah,
was like, hey, this is the guy. Like, clearly, he is the best player on their offense. Didn't
I,
you
I
feel that way the whole game? It was like, damn, this
yeah,
guy makes freaking.
I knew
Because
he
they had
was
that
getting.
busted play where he broke a huge run. He like drops the ball, picks it back up, and then breaks it for like 25 yards or whatever.
Yeah,
Like, that
we
was
had him
very good.
too. Yeah, that was wasn't that like a 3rd and 12 or a 3rd and 8 or
Yeah.
like it was horrible that they
And we
gave
were
that
right.
up and he
Passing
did,
passing yards allowed, we were right where we wanted to be. The average I projected because they're averaging 350. We're allowing about 192. We were at 263, so I thought that was good. I feel like how like with quarterbacks the stat line doesn't tell the story. Like if you look at Isaac, his stats were actually above average compared to what TCU has been allowing. But I think we can both agree that that's not his actual QBR is probably terrible, right? Because you look at the third down conversions. I'll lower it so we can see it. Third down conversions 2 for 15, and those are almost exclusively Isaac Wilson, right? Like I think that's for me when you ask like what is wrong with the offense right now. It's 3rd and 5. You might as well punt.
yeah, that it was horrible. And like you were saying, the running, we just have not. Our running game is just if Mike is not making something amazing happen, we're just not opening holes like that this year
No,
for
I know
sure.
this was, and I think this one, where as much as they have been allowing 200 yards a game, and we only got what,
68, what was it?
68, and as much as that is the story, what happens is they load the box, right? It was just like last year with Barnes. I don't know about you. That's where my mind was today.
Well,
It reminded me of
well,
Oregon State last year, where it was like, hey, they're loading the box every play, so we can't run, and our quarterback can't make them respect us.
right. My problem was at the first of the game, they're not loading the box as much as we're going in 12 and 13 personnel. We're making them load the box. We're
That's yeah.
playing out of a
I
phone booth.
commented on that at halftime. I don't know if you hopped on that at all, but I was talking about how we they're like we weren't spreading the field, so there's always 7, 8 guys right at the line. So when we did throw, there was always someone in Isaac Wilson's face.
Yeah, and the other thing I keep coming back to, and I've watched it all year. Brant Keithy cannot block. He cannot run block, man. Like if I'll watch, and you know when we're gonna run it.
Yeah,
If you watch and you look at what side Brant Keithy's on, and you're like, and you say to yourself before the ball's even snapped, if we run to Brant Keithy's side, we're screwed. And every time he literally misses the linebacker or a safety, dude. They go right by him. Linebackers bulldoze him over, and
I
safeties go
haven't
around
noticed
him.
it, but I trust your opinion.
Yeah, and so I've been watching it. I don't know how many all year. He cannot block, man.
That's
Like
no fun.
Yeah, it's horrible. He cannot block. You cannot run to his side in 12, 13 personnel. So when I see Carson Ryan, actually some of our best runs have been when they've stacked Dallin Bentley and Carson Ryan on the same side, and we run to that side. That's actually been some of our best runs for Micah. And I did not see that last night at all. And I put
I
some of this
know.
on Ludwig.
Weren't you so frustrated? Like Mekhi Bernard all year just runs the crap out of the ball, 6+ yards a carry. He's averaging 6+ yards a carry heading into this game. This is just such a like our fandom, like how this works. It's like, yes, every game we're gonna just run the ball so damn well. And then when it comes time to beat the crap out of the team where it's easy to run the ball, what happens?
Yeah, there were no. You know what? I also can't believe how many times has Micah Bernard been just a hell of a out of the backfield stick route guy.
I kept mentioning that. I mentioned it's so funny. I think you and I, we've watched and diagnosed so many games together that we have similar opinions. Where it was like,
Yeah.
yo, the play action flat route dump off to Mekhi Bernard is his bread and butter. Why are we not hitting that? I actually one call I did agree with. I don't know if you remember this, that it was like 4th and 2 for our offense towards the end of the game, and they did a play action where they sent Mekhi Bernard to the flat. Do you remember that one? It was towards
Uh,
the, and I
I
was
think
like, that's the right call. Like it didn't work, but I was like, that's a good call. That's what I would have done too. And Travis Broughton caught it. He was like, they were showing it. They were like, Travis Broughton saw him going out to the flat.
yeah. I
So
mean the one, they started Ludwig finally kind of started opening the playbook a little bit and like that one the Money Parks kind of a stick route there.
uh-huh.
That was a good one. We were moving the ball. We didn't take enough deep shots. We didn't stretch them. I mean, it was horrible play calling, and like you and I are talking about, you can't. I hate ESPN coverage. They don't come back on the field. You just can't see anything but the lines of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And a few people in some of the chat spaces were saying there were guys wide open, and Isaac just couldn't see him. I mean, other
I
people were
believe
bringing
it.
up he's
Yeah.
5'10". People are like, he ain't 6 foot. I mean, does he literally have a problem seeing the field?
You want to take a guess at Isaac Wilson's QBR from last night?
It had to be like a 29 or a 30, right?
That might be generous. It was a 21.2. Yeah, and that's just to fill in the gaps there. He also on the season has an 18.6 and a 15.5 and a 23.7. He has a 48.3 and a 79 as well, but those aren't even like crazy. Like the 79 is pretty good, but the 48 is pretty rough, and then everything else is just awful. I do think there's definitely something, and I think I'm going to take the stats off the screen a little bit here. We'll pull up the PFF grades, but I think one thing you and I are definitely in agreement on, Larry, and this is something no one's talking about, and it's really frustrating me, but it relates back to your comment from earlier. Is Heward and Rose? Why are this is what I kept saying last year with Barnes and Johnson. Like no one else is better than these guys. Like, why is like this is the best we have after Rising? And Isaac, I get it if we're just locked in. Look, PNW says, is Isaac really better than Rose? Is Isaac really better than any of the quarterbacks? I mean, we're talking 20 QBRs here, guys. Like, what? I wonder what. Do you think it's an NIL thing? Like, is there something that says if Cam's not in, he starts, or we owe him more money? I mean, I know it sounds weird, but I wouldn't be shocked. Like
I,
in the modern day.
man, there's no way I can be convinced. Okay, Heward has got a lot of experience. There's no way. I mean, just running a basic concept, your basic route trees with some of the receivers we got, there's no way. Here's the biggest stat, and I haven't looked at them, but off the top of my head, all of the teams we've played. Okay, Arizona, what did we put up? 16 points or something? 16
Yeah,
at home. NIU put up almost as
I
many
know.
points as like our offense under Wilson is literally matching FCS and bottom FBS programs against the common opponents. I mean, if that doesn't convince you that Wilson just isn't ready,
Yep.
whether it's play calling, Rose, I mean, we talked about it before Rose got hurt. I mean, the word that I was hearing out of, from some of the players was Rose has an arm. He's got a live arm. He can throw it just as hard and just
Well, you
as
remember he
fast as
was second
I,
string going into last year. Then he gets hurt, and now he's just all of a sudden third string and untouchable.
I think they're living on Wilson's ceiling rather than win now, in my opinion. I don't know if it's NIL. I think they're just scared of losing the kid, but I think we got two other things going on, Joseph. We've got, remember how DTR was thrust in his freshman year?
Yeah.
I think it ruined him for the first 2-3 years. He just didn't develop naturally. And now, and this poses a question, it was brought up last night, but nobody can convince me otherwise. Remember the era of the team when Charlie Brewer was QB? I'm getting nobody is behind. I'm not saying they're not behind Wilson, but it's got that Brewer air. It's got
Yeah.
that there's no confidence in Wilson.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
just
I
feeling
heard
that.
you talking about it in some chats where he might be a little entitled, right? Like people might feel that way about him, and it's hard for them to get behind him. And it could even be outside of being his fault, where it's like, hey, he is kind of being given the keys without having to technically earn it, right?
Right, he's been given a Ferrari after driving go karts for a few months.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
and
it's like, okay, well, like, did he earn it? And then they're pissed. Like, it's like, hey, honestly, I'm pissed that it's like, why is there no one else that we can throw in there? Like, honestly, the big play he had was an awesome play. He also had another, like, it was going to get called back on the flag either way, but there was another play where do you remember that one where he just completely overthrew Singer?
Singer up the middle on the seam was,
Oh
yeah,
my God. It was like
20
20
yards.
yards in front of him. Yeah.
Well, Singer was 20 yards past the defender, and then the
No,
ball
all
was
you had to
20
do was
yards
lob it
past.
up. Let him just go get it. Just lob it up. No one near him.
Yeah, and I heard there was one guy, he was at the game, and I think he knows ball. And he was saying there were guys open. It's almost like Isaac doesn't know when and where and how to read a defense when those guys and where those guys are going to be open. And so I think Heward, I don't know. You can't convince me Rose or Heward is not a better option at this point. There's just, it's killing me. Like we were talked about last year, Johnson and Barnes were the best we had. I mean, I get the NIL age, right?
Yeah.
I get that. It's going to be hard to have a really good backup, but you should have a guy that's at least capable back there. That's been in the program 2 to 3 years. He's getting reps. He's half decent because this is just horrible.
So D-tier Utes wife is saying this, and that was the guy you were talking to in the space last night. So this is what I'm going to say about that. I don't know for sure that he is arrogant or that any of that's true. So I'm not actually going to make any statements on that. So I'm not saying I do agree with it or I don't. Could it be a possibility? Sure, but I do think there could be a presence of whether he deserves it or not is like the team around him feeling as though he is being given something he hasn't earned. Does that make sense, Larry? Where it's like whether he is arrogant or not, that presence is there.
Yeah, it came out. I mean, it came out. You know, I don't know if it came out. I mean, I knew. I think I talked about it. But so Charlie Brewer was like a poison. He was an entitled. He had that air about him. And I'm not saying that's Wilson. I don't think he's
It
got the
could
same
be,
air.
it could
But
be, but
but
yeah, it's a possibility.
Brewer did have an entitlement attitude, and it didn't sit well with the team. And then also maybe it was just guys saw, hey, we're not. This guy can't get us the ball.
You
And
know what else I wanted to point out about Wilson? So, and no one's really talked about this. So I'm going to take a second and go on this. Is away versus home. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've seen him like there was a home game, I believe it was Arizona, where he got visibly frustrated. and he's going like that to tell the fans to be quiet. He was that you could feel, and that's where I felt like there might be a little arrogance there. But more than that, all of his losses are at home. Yeah, well, actually, two of the losses are at home, not all the losses. Actually, all of his losses are at home. The away one was Arizona State. That was Cam. So all of
Right.
Isaac's losses are at home, and all of his wins are on the road. And his wins weren't against crap teams. I mean, say what you will about BYU, they're the leader in the Big 12 this year, outside of Iowa State. And Oklahoma State took them to the wire and probably should have won last night. And Isaac went to Oklahoma State and beat him. He did the same against Utah State, which is a tough home crowd as well. I think he might not mesh super well with this super loud home crowd for Utah. Do you think there might be any credence to that? I've just been noticing that.
That ran across my head, a while ago. I was like, why? He's played a lot better as a starter. And I know it was Utah State, but Utah State put everything they had against us in that game. And
yeah,
and like you say, Oklahoma State, yeah, he's definitely played better on the road.
yeah. I
And
wonder what
so
it is.
Nerves, maybe he's just
Yeah,
nerves at home of, hey, I've got, everybody here. I feel like everything's on my back where he's away. He's like, if I throw this or I do that, I'm not going to get the booze, you know?
yeah, for
So
sure.
no, yeah, that's right. And I kind of thought about that. I'm like, why is he's a little better away?
Yeah.
And
Real quick though, Larry, let's talk about the offense. Offensively, where's your mind at? What's wrong right now? And I think that's a big question, but like just if you're gonna give me your initial reaction, what is wrong right now?
what's wrong is I don't think we're in sync between the quarterback, the receivers, the timing. I mean, our offensive line, I don't think they were doing too great last night. And I think a lot of it has to do with them playing the 12, 13 personnel. They're blitzing us. I don't think they're in sync. The when and the where the receivers are going to come open. We have no hot routes or he can't read them. I don't think our offense is in sync with Wilson because I don't think he's ready. I think that's our biggest issue.
Yeah. And where's your mind with Ludwig right now?
It's the same I had with last year. We don't see what these guys are capable of in practice and what they do in practice. And then when the game is hit, I can't put it all on Ludwig yet, but I also can't excuse him to not know his personnel. And I mean, we've got guys that are 6'8", 6'6". I don't care if you run a guy 5 yards, 8 yards with his jump ball stick route. Like, we've got to have something. If this kid, if he can't do anything, I kind of put it on Ludwig a little bit, but not all
You
of
know,
it.
the thing was against Arizona, it was like we were moving the ball and we couldn't punch it in the red zone, right? Like that, it was we were moving, we were effective on offense, and then we'd get to the red zone and we'd completely stall out. It was tough to watch. Um, last night was just nothing. It was we just were ineffective. There wasn't we wouldn't get to the red zone because we couldn't. So that was a really concerning night. And I don't know about you, Larry, but I've never seen the entire fan base as I'd probably say negative, for lack of a better term, right? You could say critical, but I don't think I've seen it like this. And it's we've had some rough times, especially last year. But would you agree with that? Like as a whole?
Yeah, I've never seen the crowd be like that. I don't know. I feel like we're a
I'm
passive
talking Twitter
aggressive.
too. Twitter, it's like
Yeah.
people are calling for Wit's head, like not just obscure random people, like people.
Uh, uh, yeah. Is it time? I
I
mean,
mean, I'm
do
not
we?
there at all personally.
I'm not there. I don't want to be Iowa 2.0 though either. That
Same,
is
yeah.
just, yeah.
What are your thoughts? How much do you think is Ludwig? How much do you think is Witt with this offense? Is it that Witt's making him be too conservative, or is this just
Yeah.
Ludwig? I mean, where?
Oh yeah. After all the picks that Wilson's playing scared, man. And the only person that does that is Whittingham. Yeah, I think Witt's put some handcuffs, and I think Witt's like, we're gonna win with defense. We're gonna run the ball. I think he's still there, and I love Whittingham, but man, get somebody that can push the ball. Make them push the damn ball.
Yeah, I'm with you. I forget who was talking about it last night, but I liked what someone said, and they mentioned how with Cam, it was kind of like he had such a base. You know, he was recruited by Texas. He was a four-star quarterback, and so he had a presence, right? And he had other options where he was kind of just like, hey, if you guys pull me, then I'll transfer out. Like I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it and I'm going to do my thing. I feel like a guy like Cam was such a good and is such a good fit in this offense because he's naturally just a playmaker, not a gunslinger, but a guy that just has that flow to the game, right? And a guy like Witt boxes you in a little bit where you're going to be safer than you normally would be, which is probably good for you, but you still have that off script ability. Because that's really what Utah's QB needs to be is real easy, real precise, just kind of move the ball slow and steady. But when the play breaks down, because we're so slow and steady, you need to figure it out and not screw it up. And that's why I think Witt is so hard on the quarterbacks not to make mistakes.
Yeah,
But yeah.
that's what I said last night. Is Cam Rising didn't care what Witt thought because he had options and he knew he was a dude.
Yeah. He's a beast. Yeah. Um, what else was I going to say about this team? You know what? I think this is where my number one concern is. And I think, I don't know if it's Ludwig. I don't know if it's Witt. I really don't know what's going on. But, and I mentioned it last year too. So one of two things is true. Either they're keeping Isaac Wilson in, and he's not the best quarterback behind Cam, and that's a mistake, right? You don't just give away the season to hope a guy develops, especially in this NIL transfer portal era. That's crazy to do. Um, but on top of that, the other thing is, I think there's a really good chance that Isaac might be the next best guy in this room. And why that's concerning, Larry, is that could have been the same case last year with Johnson and Barnes. And why are we not developing quarterbacks? Like, why do they all suck? It is shocking to me. It is just guy after guy. They're not just like below average, but we are talking about they are sometimes just liabilities. And you could feel the team's hate and frustration towards Isaac. I'm shocked they put him in the post game presser. Like, I would have thought they wouldn't put him out there. Keep his composure.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Why don't we have a competent backup?
Yeah, like Heward isn't like good enough to just run the offense.
I I think he is. I mean, everybody's like he came in late. He doesn't quite know the playbook, and you're thinking the guy's been playing football for 3 years. Okay, he got one start at an FCS program. Like he was a 5-star talent. You can't tell me he can't see the field better and he can't run general concepts. Everybody has just a general route tree. I mean, hell, I'd be fine with that. You can't tell me Heward's not better than Isaac right now. And are they just scared? Are they scared to lose Isaac?
Yeah,
I'm with
I
you.
think yeah, but I think that's such a terrible thing for them if they're scared to lose Isaac. Like especially right now. Hey Larry, I'm gonna bump you. I'm just gonna make some closing statements. I'm only gonna be on for about 10 minutes more. Anything else you want to say before I bump you out of here?
No, man, love the team. The defense, I think, stepped up. Scally made some great adjustments in the second half, and keep fighting with them. So,
Awesome. Hey
yep,
Larry, thanks for coming on, man. Come on again sometime. Talk to you
you
soon.
bet.
All right, guys, that was Larry Pilgrim. Always great. He's a really good voice, and he's been a content contributor for the channel in the past. Great guy. I want to go over something Witt said last night. So let me pull up the tweet here. So everything, this is from Kyle Whittingham. Everything is under review for the next 48 hours, and there will be some difficult decisions. And what I like to hear there, is he is putting people on notice. I don't know what that means. There will be some difficult decisions. I think that's kind of a general call out where it's Isaac, Ludwig, receivers, tight ends. You guys better start getting open and better start figuring things out, because if you don't, we're gonna pull you and we're gonna try other people. And honestly, I just from just reiterating kind of what I was talking about here, we really um, should be trying other quarterbacks. It's weird that we just lock in on one guy and just will not pull him. And it's like, guys, he's not doing it. Like, there's no one else that can go out there and do something. Or it's like maybe the reins are too. This seems to be the general consensus that the reins are too tight on Isaac Wilson, and he's so scared to screw up because he doesn't want to get benched. I mean, I hate that too. And then I was talking about it earlier. You guys know how my mind goes. It's just always running, always running. But um, our our numbers. So I talked about how the stats don't always show the story, and they were only rushing for about 88 yards a game, and against our defense, they rushed for 132 yards. That's not a crazy amount of yards, but I think a lot of you guys would agree with me. When they wanted to and when they needed to, they were able to run the ball very effectively. And that has been the story for all season. I mean, every game we have lost, it has come down to our defense stopping the run. Yes, the offense is the critical problem, but problem two is very glaring. For me, it is we cannot stop the run. Like, this is one of the worst rushing teams in the country, and when we needed to stop them for the it was 1st and 10. We just got to make sure they don't get 10 yards in 3 plays, and we're supposed to be this super physical, super tough defense, and we can't stop these guys from running the ball. And I feel like every game we're talking about, oh, that running back was so good, but eventually we got to look in the mirror and say, hey, are we just not good at stopping the run? And I think that's kind of where my mind is at this point, that we're just not doing a good job of stopping the run. And I think we need to do better. I feel as much as the offense, like I mentioned, is the critical problem this year, and they clearly are, the defense is getting very little criticism because the offense is so bad, but the defense is getting gashed on run plays, guys. Scatabo, Williams last night, what was the running back for Arizona as well. And there were other games where they were running on us very effectively. I think it is a real problem, and it's something we have to address. Yes, our defense is still an elite defense and one of the best defenses in the country, with the offense that does them no favors. Doesn't change the fact that we are getting beat up with the run game. Not sure how we fix it. Just know that it's happening. And anyone turning a blind eye to that, like it's not a problem right now, I think that's crazy. Again, the offense, don't hear what I'm not saying. The offense is the problem. The passing game on the offense is dreadful, right? We're talking multiple games with less than a 25 QBR from Isaac Wilson, right? The best games are a 48 and a 79, which is 48 is not good either, and 79 is good, but that's your best, and that's an outlier. PNWU says defense can't claim they were tired due to time of possession. It was almost exactly even. I'm with you. I like that's they'd be off the field for a full drive, right? Like a good 5-10 minutes or 5 to 7 minutes, and then they'd come back in and they just get beat up with the run game. And this was I thought we did good defending the pass, right? Like right where I expected us to be, but I feel like this was our opportunity to step up and show we were a team that was capable of stopping the run against a less than stellar rushing offense. And we did the opposite. Like, really, I really did not like it at the end of the game when Keanu Tanavasa was in the press and he was like, hey, we did our job, 13 points. You could feel what the attitude was on the defensive side of the ball in the locker room. And that's not what I want to hear, because you guys had a chance to make another stop at the end of this game. We did not get the ball back. They had the ball with 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You guys had an opportunity to end this, to give us another shot, right? You were exhausted. One more time. If they had made that stop, I'm feeling a lot differently. But the fact that you're not owning it and you didn't make the stop, I really do not enjoy that. PNW Ute says, and it was the rushing Lebowski. Yards per pass was about even. Yards per rush was not. Yep. Pac-12 Pilgrim, Larry's back. He says, don't like the team being split. Very concerning. Yeah, same here, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Please make sure you guys smash that like button. I'd also like you to give me your thoughts on what you want to see the rest of the season. You know, Whit mentioned changes are going to be made. Everyone's on notice. What do you think that means, and what do you hope it means? And then if you haven't already, guys, subscribe to the channel. We put out a ton of Utah Utes football content. I am out of here. Go Utes.